Namaste, everybody. So we are today we are going to have this session on Arthamitra. We'll start with the prayer. So Krishnaya Yadavendraya Jnana Mudraya Yogine Nathaya Rukmunishaya Namo Vedanta Vedine. So this is going to be the agenda for today. We are going to have a quick introduction about the program, about the associations, organizations involved in this webinar, then introduction to our speakers and guests. We have a quick welcome note, and then the whole discussion will start. Then we have the question and answer session, and we also have a quick feedback session, and then sum up, and then we'll just wind up with what's going to be our next step on this particular session. Am I audible to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, Seva USA and a couple of NGOs, organizations from India, SIB and other organizations, we have actually under this tough time of COVID-19, so we came up with an initiative called the Apta Sakha, is the webinar, a series of webinars from the experts and the practitioners who understand and manage the pandemic. Okay, how to manage this. So about various things, what we need actually related to our wealth, related to our health, related to our crisis management, and how do we spend time with our family, and how can we use to this time to understand and learn some new skills. Also, we have something called as Udyoga Mitra, where we give them like technical trainings. So these are a couple of webinar sessions that we have organized. So our associate organizations are Sarvamoola Solutions and ABMM by our great Guruji Pejawar Swamiji. And then we also have SAST and then Skill Rari, which is famous as Q Spiders. So we thank all of this, the help that is being rendered by all of these organizations to make this mission happen. So as part of this, we are going to have a session on wealth management, economy post-lockdown. It's in our Indian context, we can call it as Arthamitra. So for this session, we have three distinguished scholars today. We have Gautam. So he's a senior auditor, president of ABMM, and a huge bunch of organizations. So he deals with, he's a consultant for commercial and especially the list of these commercial organizations. Most of these Aptamatas, Chinmaya Mission, Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda, many other organizations that he's been giving them a voluntary service and kind of a taxation consultant. And he's been referred as Bhishma Pitamaha of our Indian economy and then Karnataka. So I mean, we welcome him and thank you, sir, for your time for being part of this. And he's also part of our ABMM, so he's also part of host as well. So I request him to chair this whole panel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And we have another distinguished speaker today. So he's a great economist and research analyst actually. So Mohanna Krishnamurthy. So welcome you, sir. And
thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he comes with a very rich experience of for more than 23 years of experience and handling the personal finance and asset allocation. And he's a visiting faculty for BTU. And he has written a couple of books and articles. That's a very interesting thing when you find time. So please go through it. It covers about the Indian economy from Gandhi to Modi, and there's a nice book. I had a chance to look at a couple of chapters, but it's a very good book. And also he is founder of Finmo, a financial moksha. So he's going to help us here to how to come out, how to get the moksha from this current COVID crisis.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And he has been also given a financial peace. So in his words, it's a financial moksha for 300 plus families. and I think he's here to give us a core topics discussion on this topics here, and he's also a famous TV program because he has given a couple of TV programs on various TV channels in India, and also he has given a couple of programs for people in America and UK. Just yesterday, he has given one program on American Adigas, and so we have been happy to have him as part of the panel. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So we have another speaker, another great personality. So one more thing I forgot to tell about him. So when I called him Gautam sir as Bhishma, so we call him as a Parth or Arjun so that he takes care of us.
Thank you.
And we have another gentleman, Dayanand. So and he is a very nice gentleman, and he does the basic financial planning. So most of the people become fan of him because he talks very basic things about what is needed from a just youngster to a retired person. He takes care of it. So he's like our Dharmaraja actually. So we also have him. And we have our
Thank you,
Krishna.
sir.
We have our Krishna who is controlling is Srinath ji, and I hand it over to Srinath ji. And and before that, and I would like to introduce our guest today, and we have Ravi Subramanya. So he's like our Anjaneya, so where he's like a go-to man. Anything we want for any of the organizations here in Bangalore, any across. I think he does all the work for us, and he's been educated. I think very rare politician, I would say. He comes from a very very religious family, and he takes care of a lot of things. And he's really like Apka Saka for this program. He's really a Saka. Saka means without asking for, and he comes for a help. So that's the kind of people recognize him like Ravi Subramanya as you don't have to tell him that this is the problem that we have. So he just jumps in and then helps us out. So we are happy to have him for this Apta Saka seminar. He's been doing a lot of work for this COVID-19 crisis, helping people. I think he has, I'm not sure how much, but 3 or 4 loads of lorries of the groceries and all that he's been giving to various needy people, and he's been conducting a lot of the workshops and everything. So thank you, Ravi ji, for joining us this call.
Thank you.
Amidst your hectic schedule.
Thank you.
That, if I get a call from government or from CMG and all, so I said that will be more, we all understand. But he made, in spite of his some little health issues and all that, and he made us time for us to for this program. Welcome, Ravi Subramanya ji.
Thank you.
So we have another distinguished guest. So she's works for Indian Embassy. So she's known for her helping nature. I think she's been known. Most good thing is most of them are all from Baswangudi constituency. I think we are all clients of Ravi Subramanya ji actually. So we are fortunate to have him actually here. And Gayatri ji has done a lot. I think in the last couple of decades, she's been doing a lot, helping people for immigration, many other things. And when she was quarantined here in India, she didn't, kept quiet actually. She started collecting and she started distributing, and the clothes and masks and medicines and groceries and everything. So she's been doing a lot, and with her friends and family members, she started doing. Wherever she is, she makes the environment vibrating. So we are happy to have her on this call and this session. Welcome, Gayatri.
Thank
you. So over to our Krishna ji. So Tina ji is our president of Seva USA. So he's been the mentor, and he's been the guiding force behind all these things. So Srinath ji, welcome for you, and we are to just give you a couple of words on this inauguration of this session. And before I forget, and we also have Nishant Agarwal. So he takes care of Seva International Bharat, called SIB. So he'll be doing the vote of thanks actually. So I also welcome him and I want to introduce him to this allied group. Thank you, Nishanji. Over to Sinaji.
Okay. My name is Srinath. I former resident of Chamarajpete, 59 Road, near Nadu Sangha. So I just, I would have been a potential, client of Ravi Subramanya ji or under his patronage. Okay. So spent all my life while I was in Bangalore in Chamarajpete. So now currently I am a professor of electrical engineering computer science at a university called Case Western in Cleveland, Ohio.
Can you be a little louder, please? Can you come to the close?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think there is a background noise. Somebody should mute. Sinduji, can you mute everybody?
Yeah,
I'll unmute
yeah.
myself. Will you mute everybody?
Yeah. Go ahead, and I'll just
Okay. All right. I am. I have had the responsibility of Seva International President for the last 11 years. But what I do for work, I call it food on the table. And what I do for Seva, the volunteer opportunity, is food on for the soul. So I am glad that we have all these distinguished people here and who are going to educate us on something very important. And I welcome everybody and thank you for your gyan that you are going to provide to us. I'm looking forward to understanding everything and thank all the guests who have come and graced this occasion, Ravi Subramanya ji and Gayatri ji. Dhanyawad. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Sinaji, for your kind words. And just with this introduction and welcome, and I think it's time to directly get on to the topics. And over to Mohan Krishnamurthy for giving us the gam. Over to you, Mohan.
Thank you. Thank you, Bindu Madhavacharya, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. First of all, Jai Hind and Jai Karnataka, and welcome to all the participants. I'm seeing about 45 people logged in now, and I welcome all of you to this session. And this session is named very rightly and aptly called Artha Mitra. So, what is the definition of Mitra? I'll start with that. The definition of Mitra in Sanskrit means, Mitra means not just a friend. In English, we call a friend, anybody is a friend. It could be a Facebook friend or it could be a WhatsApp friend, office friend, but we call everybody in general as a friend. But in Sanskrit, Mitra means he is someone who understands what problem will come to you in future now only. Even before you go to him, he predicts the future problems for you and he solves that problem without even telling you. If requires, he will tell you, otherwise he would not even tell you that there is a problem, but he will foresee the problem and solve the problem for you. That is the definition of Mitra in Sanskrit. And Artha Mitra is the similar thing that, in this kind of a situation, the whole world is going through the tough times. We have a big challenge called COVID-19 and it is changing our world. In such time, the biggest thing that comes to our help is the Artha, that whatever the cash position that we hold. So the Artha Mitra is something, if we are about to get into financial difficulties in these situations, how well it is possible for us to be prepared for the difficulties and how well we can manage our financial status and the condition and how well we can manage so that we can help a lot of other people who are not as privileged as us. So that is the whole idea of Artha Mitra. So when I start the session, I will start taking the two-liner Artha Shastra of my guru. I consider Acharya Chanakya as my guru and I follow his philosophy very closely. Though I'm basically financial economist, I look at multiple asset class, multiple geographies and multiple economic states and how globally things are working, how it is working in India, in America, in Europe, in Asia Pacific, and different parts of the world, and how it affects. But even then, I still feel whatever Acharya Chanakya has spoken is very, very valid for today. I am even trying to deduce his logic to the stock market. Now, coming back to this, there are wonderful lines that Acharya Chanakya has told in just 2 lines. The entire Kautilya's Arthashastra can be seen in these 2 lines, what you see on the screen. Sukhasya moolam dharmaha, dharmasya moolam arthaha. So Chanakya says, if you have to be happy, the root of happiness, you have to be following dharma. Now, what is the root of dharma? If you have to follow righteousness, dharma is not religion, dharma is righteousness, to be good and kind to one and all. So if you have to follow dharma, if you follow dharma, you will definitely be happy. But if you have to follow dharma, the root of it is artha. So if you are penniless, if you don't have money, you cannot follow dharma. That is what he says. You can't be righteous if you yourself are not self-sufficient. And very importantly, even if you earn very well, if you don't earn it in the right means through righteousness, you will not be happy, irrespective of whether you are a millionaire or a billionaire. So from there we will start this discussion, and knowing that the money is a divine power. That's what Chanakya says, and it is something like you have 20,000 watts of power, be it nuclear power or electric power. It is a very powerful thing. Money is a powerful thing, and it is very important for everybody in life, irrespective of the situation, to be self-sufficient and then have in excess so that you can help other people, and through the righteous means you will also be happy. So we'll go to the previous slide. Yeah, thanks. Discussion that we are going to do today on Arthamitra, how we can be helping each other in understanding in this difficult situation, in this COVID hit, life, the day-to-day life, how we are going to manage our finances and we'll take care of our families. We're going to discuss under 4 areas. The first is going to be on our world, has it changed? So we discuss the overall economy and how life and business would probably be there post lockdown, and how to protect our family and loved ones in this new challenging situation. And the fourth one is how to manage the finance in these tough times. We'll go to the next slide. Thank you. So our world has changed in the last 1 month. Everybody is aware of that. There is no question. It is actually yes. The answer is yes, life has changed, world has changed. But is it going to be something which is changed forever? Are we going to go back? What has changed? Let us see the COVID-19 changing our lives in the last 1 month, and the very reason we are having this online platform congregation to discuss our issues is itself is a testimony to how life has changed. So we cannot get out of the house and meet anybody. Now, what has changed? Thank you, sir. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this 30%, what you are seeing is actually what has fallen. The global markets, the financial markets, the capital markets have fallen by 30% on an average. And Indian markets are also down similarly. If there is a stock specific, some people are having specific stocks and specific portfolios. There could be much deeper downs. It could be 60-70% losses in the current investment holdings. Though that is the first shocker. The markets are down, the global markets are down. The business activity is almost zero. If the markets are down, the bigger problem that has happened is the business activity is zero. Be it manufacturing, all the companies have stopped, be it automobile, be it steel, zinc, whatever you talk about, commodities or the product manufacturing, everything has stopped, and travel has totally stopped. The entertainment, media, everything is only on the phone and online, and the distribution hit agriculture. The farmer who is growing, who has already grown, harvesting, who is keeping it, he is unable to find a market and reach the target market, and he is facing a lot of problem. And people who are in this supply chain, the daily wage earners who actually only live on the daily wage, they are very seriously hit. We are all aware of this. This is how life has changed. Global economy is down, which is anyway India will have issue. As long as global situation is bad, we will have bad situation here also. The future is unknown. Now still, if lot of people, of course, in the question answer session, I am expecting a lot of questions when this will go down, but the future is unknown. As of now, this kind of a situation, this is a new calamity. We do not have any history of handling such situation where the businesses activity completely stops, and when it restarts, how it restarts. So this is a situation. In all this bad situation, what is something which is a silver line, if I have to say, because it is bad for across the globe, for everybody. It is not for Indian, it's not for American, not for South African, not for French, not for a German, not for South African. It is for everybody. It is the common state of affairs for everybody across, because once businesses hit, it hits every other nation, even the developed countries and the developing countries. But what is the silver lining in all this that we see is, in the post lockdown situation, when the things come back, India is going to be a shining star as per the studies, as per a lot of experts that they are foreseeing that the India is going to be the key nation in the next 4 to 5 years, or about 10 years period. You will see the new world order, and we will be the among the top most likely. And the reason being two: one, Indian economy is completely domestic economy. Second, now like I said, markets have fallen and the oil prices have fallen. If you have noticed the recent news today, 2 days before, the oil futures in WTI markets, oil future markets for April futures are minus $37. We have never seen that such kind of a situation. This is good for India because India's highest imports, the biggest money that Indian government pays is on oil imports. So when the price comes down, this is going to be not going to recover very sharply in the next 3 to 6 months. There's going to be a lot of problem. The prices of oil will not rise, which is going to be a big plus for India. Other than that, also India is except for the oil, it is self-sufficient. 130 crore population. It's a huge market, domestic itself. It is just that the fear of unknown which is affecting us as of now. As far as economy is concerned, we are going to be coming back very vibrantly, and all of us can be very, very hopeful about that. And in the new order, normally after a big crash, you will see the big growth also. So if you survive the crash, you are actually beaten the crisis and you be the emerging hero. So that's what we can look for in spite of all these things that I have talked about, the market fallen and the business activity being zero. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. Now I'll come to the post-lockdown situation. Now this is very interesting how the life will be after 3rd May. The first question is, will the lockdown get over? We are already in the 18 days, the lockdown 2.0 I call it, and we are already in the 9th day today. On May 3rd, it's going to be 18 days. So in 18 days, we have already 50% we have traveled. And if you see the number of cases, it is still increasing. And the 3rd May, will it end is another question. Even if it ends, what is going to be the life after 3rd May? The first problem is the fear of relapse. So when there is 100% lockdown, you cannot bring it down to 0%. You can't be completely let free because you don't know when it will hit us back. So it has to be only reduced and tapered over a period of time. So what we probably see, if there is a post lockdown situation, it is going to be 30% capacity of the life activity. When I say life activity, it is the trains, buses, malls, schools. All this will operate with only 30% capacity. Now the trains will look like your airport. Now you know, if you have to travel by air, you have to go 3 hours in advance to the airport. You will have to do similar thing in buses. If in a train 72 seats are there to be booked, you will probably get opportunity to book only 30 seats. And you know the demand, and you will have to book in advance. At the same time, you will have to wait because people have to be screened if there is any kind of a spread, and the social distancing will have to be maintained. If not, the fear of relapse is very, very high, and probably I do not see the schools operating for at least 3 months. Once the lockdown is removed, there will be, all the authorities will be looking at how well we are able to control if we are letting people freely walk around. So if the situation worsens again, there can be again things coming back, intermittent lockdowns. Now, what is the economic effect of this? Now, what happens in a factory if only 30% of the capacity works but 100% of the people are there? You have to pay salary for 100% capacity, but you only produce 30%. The businesses won't survive. It will be difficult for them to survive in these uncertainties. So, reduced output, there will be cost cutting and there will be job losses, there will be pay cuts, and as the amount of money reduces in the hands of the people, there will also be reduced spending, which will have another effect on the economy, that the economy will not come back faster. There has to be a lot of money pumped in through various reforms and the governments, and a lot of initiative is required to induce more money into the markets. But the immediate effect is going to be the reduced output. Probably in the next 3 to 6 months, you will not see all the business activity coming back to normal. That is also, it is unknown. We need to see how these things will work out, but for sure we should be prepared for there will be only 30 to 40% kind of capacity utilization. So if you are working in a factory, if you are working anywhere, please know that may not be everybody will call back for work. Only very, very emergency requirements will be called back, and very few people will be called back in shifts. Now, when you that is going to be a bigger effect, and it will have an effect on the economy also. The intermittent lockdowns, till we can find something like a vaccine, something a medicinal or whichever, whether Ayurveda or allopathy, whichever works, if we are able to get some very positive news on that, and all these things can actually vanish. But there will be a lot of time which will require for to produce a vaccine, to do clinical trials, and to make sure that it is actually working. That itself is a longer time. So only one answer could be a possible solution for the COVID to stop or put by either the treatment or a prevention like a vaccine. So till such time uncertainties for businesses will exist, uncertainty for all those who are involved in the businesses, either as an employee or as a owner, all the stakeholders, be it government, everybody, there is going to be uncertainty. Now, this is something which only time will tell in the couple of quarters as we go through, but we have to be prepared. Now the question, the next slide, sir, we will get into the third aspect of it. Now, before getting there, which are the industries which are likely to do well in the economy? So which are the sunrise industries? In every bad situation, there will always be something or the other. There cannot be like all the sectors, all the industries will go to dogs. It is not possible in any economy. Everywhere now, for all those companies which are digital infrastructure, that is a sector I'm talking about, digital infrastructure, where these kind of platform, digital platform, the no physical interface with high data safety, this will emerge as one of the top winner in the coming few quarters. So anybody related to this particular field will likely to make big money, and there is going to be big demand for utilization of digital infrastructure. And the top two sector will be healthcare. Of course, I talked about the problem. Whoever can solve the problem will make big money. And ability to find quicker vaccines for newer virus strains. It is not just this COVID-19. So this is only a beginning. If there are more strains of viruses, because viruses are something which has the ability to do mutation. Now, the more you develop vaccine, it can come back in many different forms. Like this Rakshasas, you kill them and many will come in different forms. So that is, healthcare is going to be the key. This anyone involved in the healthcare business, healthcare technologies, there is going to be that's going to be a growth coming from that, and also personal hygiene products, which is related to healthcare. Consumer e-commerce, the newer FMCG product that adds to the immunity of the people. And we have been already using a lot of ginger in our food now, the pepper and these kind of things, and a lot of things which builds immunity and in newer formats, and where also which is produced in hygienic conditions and also easy to supply. And we saw recently Mukesh Ambani came out, and the video is doing rounds. The Jio is coming out with Jio Mart, where they will be connecting all the smaller kirana stores, and you can place your orders through WhatsApp. So Facebook is going with Reliance Jio, and they are creating a platform already to make sure that you can place orders from your WhatsApp. And later they are going to expand it to multiple other sectors as well, not just buying the consumer goods. So this is going to be the key area in the why I am talking about this is this has connection to what I'm going to explain next. Thank you, sir. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. How to protect your family and loved ones. So I talked about economy, I talked about sectors, I talked about the problems, and when it can probably come back, when we can see a better situation. But in all these things, more than the family, more than the economy, it is my family economics which is very, very important, because that is what is my world. All our world is there's a beautiful saying that your life is nothing but the quality of relationships around the people, with people around you who matter to you. So your life depends on the quality of relationship, and it depends on the how well I am able to take care of my family. So your family is your responsibility. Do not fail them with unpreparedness. So it is very important to be prepared of the kind of challenges which might come in future. So we will talk about that. What are those challenges? How to take care of those challenges? So there are 4 challenges that every family has to look up to, and one is the income threat. How the post-lockdown phase can affect your income, be it salaried income, or if you are a businessman, be it a business profits. So what could be the profits depending on the industry that you are working, depending on the companies that you are working as an employee at whatever level, senior level to junior level, and whether it is a fixed salary, if you are a professional, looking for running different kinds of businesses and consultancies, it is different for different set of people. The income threats are different. So you need to look at what are the threats for your income. And the second part is the expense control. Where all can you rationalize your spending? If you are overspending, it is very, very important to cut down all those things and ensure you have more cash in your hand. And of course, people have no option to go out now. There is not much that they are spending. They're eating at home, and everything is online. So going forward, the way we lived the lavish life, on a weekend you go with a family and spend 3,000-4,000 in a mall, that is something will not be ideal in a new situation. We need to take care of the expenses. Also, very importantly, if you have already invested in the market, that is your savings, be it insurance, be it mutual funds, be it an FD, wherever you are. Now the threat is that the FD rates will come down. A lot of there is a news that all the PPF and PF, it will come normal rates with the bank rates, the FD rates, and FD rates are like, because the interest rates are falling. And it was in 2013, the interest rate, the normal SBI 3-year rate was anywhere around 9.3%, and now it has come down to 5.5%. And with this, interest rate cuts, there could be further fall in the FD rates. So it's very important. You need to restructure your investments and see where you can get a safe and decent growth of your savings, and make sure you don't erode your savings. And the fourth important thing is your assets. It's not that we only have savings, we also have assets, be it real estate assets, be it financial assets, or be it gold blocks or jewelry, whatever we hold, overall assets what you have. Now today, normally I address a lot of clients and do their detailed analysis of what they hold, their assets, liabilities, income, expense in my service that I provide to families. Most of the time, 90% of the holdings, if you are worth about 10 crores, 9 crores is there only in the real estate. if you have one house or 2-3 plots, you will be worth about 6-7 crores. But today it is very, very important that you look at how do I restructure my real estate or immovable assets, and also your loan commitments. If you are paying hefty EMIs for a plot or for a house which you may not, you need to restructure and think, is it really required, and should you be sitting on, comfortable financial assets? If you are holding more than 60% of the real estate assets, immovable, especially like today, these things are going to be tough. You may not get the rent also. People may be in difficulties, and you cannot demand also the rent. And situation is that as such rental incomes are low. It is the appreciation for which people buy real estate. So it's very important to restructure what you have, and it's important to grow the asset value. If you are worth 10 crores or 15 crores or 20 crores, let me say you have worked for 20 years or 25 years, you hold multiple real estate properties or commercial, whatever, agriculture. So if you hold, the value of that should grow. If you are worth 20 crore assets, if you have, imagine if you just grow 10%, you are adding 2 crores. Lot of people don't give importance to that. It's very, very important that you do restructuring in these situations. The good thing is, it is not that you should not invest in real estate. You should invest, but you should do a right mix of immovable assets as well as, because overall returns, it could be for at least about 8 to 10%. So at least for 60-40 is the right ratio for assets growth to kind of think of good restructuring. You can think of that. That is the need of the hour. And this is the time. We are all sitting at home another 9 days, and we don't know how many more days we might have to sit. But it's very important to sit back and go through, where do I stand. So can we go to the next slide, sir? So I talked about the 4 challenges. Now I'm getting more specific here. The family finance. The tough gets going when the going gets tough. We have heard all this. But if you may be doing already, you may be doing very well. Finance is something, it says, if you ignore when you are doing well, it reminds you in a lot more harsher ways. You may be doing very well now. That doesn't mean that you will be in the same position all through. And we have seen, in our own relatives and friends and people, how things change. So it's one bad decision, one bad litigation, one real estate issue. It can take us to a totally different situation. So it's very, very important to do the right family finances. So the first and foremost, one of the greatest scholar whom I admire a lot, Bannanje Govindacharya ji, he says, Iruvu Sampattalla, Iruvina Arivu Sampattu. What you have is not the wealth. What you know what you have is the true wealth. So that is very important. Can we go to the next slide, sir? So understand your current financial status. Arivu, knowing where you are in my financial status. Am I comfortable? Am I not comfortable? So that it is easy to do. You list down all your assets and liabilities, and please plan immediate and for future needs. You require some things in the short term, immediate also you need money, you need something at a later stage also. So for the future needs. So it's very important that you understand your financial status. You know exactly how much is your net worth. You know how much money you require in future. Are you comfortable? And how much you need to save right now, so that you will be comfortable later. Because it is all like honey goodidare halla, tene goodidare balla. Beautiful song adu Kannadadalli. So it is little savings that you do will make you very big one point of time. And that is why it is very important to plan for the next 10 years at least. It's very important. If you can't see 30 years or 40 years, make sure at least you know what will happen in the next 10 years. And if you do the right match, you will know for sure what exactly is your current situation. And you may not require any great financial advisor for that. You require a lot of interest and passion to do that. So if you are very serious, it is very, very important that you understand your current financial status. And also it is important to know where you have to reach, whether you are reaching. It's like your Google, when you put the when you want to travel somewhere, the directions that you get on the Google, It tells you exactly at what stage you need to take right turn and how long it will take you to reach. That kind of a clarity whoever has, he is the one who can live life peacefully. And he knows I need to take right turn. After 3 kilometers there is a bridge that comes, and there is after that there is going to be a traffic jam, so I will not be able to go beyond 30 kilometers of what. So this is the clarity in terms of finance also. It is very important to have that, and very more than over and above that, once you have the clarity, you need to be monitoring and be updated on all the developments like what we are doing right now. So life is not the same, and people who are not updated or outdated today. And it's not about who is fast, who is slow. It's not about who is big or who is small today. Today someone who is very small can become very big tomorrow. But if you are now not updated today, you will definitely not do well in future. So very, very important. It's a fast changing world, and the rules of the game is changing. Everything the way we do are changing, be it investment, be it the way you talk to your kids. The way our parents talk to us is not the way we talk to our kids. So lot, and the way they lived, we don't live the same life. So a lot of things are changing. So it's very important to be updated, especially on financial matters and what's happening around you in your company, in your job. It is very, very important to make sure that you are updated, and it's not difficult today in this digital world. So the financial, thank you, sir. We can go to the next slide. So financial planning is what I was referring to. So there are areas of concern. You would have a lot of concerns in terms of, if you have invested already in the market, there could be loss of investment capital. Currently, it could be negative, or there could be profits would have eroded. And the area of concern is also an opportunity for a lot of people who had not invested earlier. Now, if you are sitting on cash, there are a lot of opportunities right now, and you can actually get very good returns if you do the right things now. So the area of concern is actually where there's area of control. You need to do right things, understand, and put your money across, and not invest only into high risk instruments, but do it very carefully and diligently. Do anything. If you are investing or saving money towards the future, you should have a goal. That if you are very clear about the goal that I need money, this much money at this point of time, you will not move away from that disciplined way of savings. So area of control is one. If you feel that you will not be able to manage, and too many moving things in the market, please do go to the expert. And it is the what I've been seeing in the last 10 years. I've been being in this industry for 20 years. The people's income level have been increasing, and anyone who is at the 25 years, 26 years in a metro city is earning not less than 60 to 70,000. And the same people who are earning 30, 40,000 rupees 10 years back, they're earning 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. I'm talking about in the cities. But their thinking is same. Their financial thinking has not changed. They still think that it is the same instruments what the father, mother, and father-in-law, mother-in-law invested. They're investing in the same way. So it is very important to be more updated and more knowledgeable in terms of your money. A lot of people, when I ask them, they don't even know what products they bought, why they bought, because they just bought because somebody asked them to buy. So it was more because of a pressure or obligation is why they bought. So it is not the case now. You need, because you have more money, you need to make sure you protect it and you live a comfortable life. The more you are able to protect and be self-sufficient, and the excess what you have is what you can do a great service. Like so many people who are in part of this session, they're already been doing, like Srinathji is doing a big service. So you can only do when you are free from your financial problems. That is the core subject that I deal with, financial moksha, I call it. There is a beautiful, Stephen Covey's book for 7 habits of highly effective people. He talks about 4 needs of the people: to live, to love, to learn, and to leave a legacy. To live is where finances come. And if this is constant struggle, we need to win over the money. And that is when, if you win over more than, if you have more money than what you can spend, that is the winning. But your desires will always increase. And today, if you have 50,000 expense, you will actually end up with 1 lakh rupees in 3 years. So your desires increase, it's a constant struggle to maintain that, to live and to love. Of course, all other things is not in the financial domain. It is very, very important that this is an area no one should ignore, and especially in such a situation it is very, very important that we take control of where we are now, and we plan, be prepared for the future. Be prepared is the money cannot solve a lot of things. Money cannot solve every problem in the world, but it can reduce the problems for sure. That's what I have realized in my whole career, that if you have more money you will be less troubled than someone who has no money. So it's very important is when you don't have a problem, it is you can help a lot of people who are in trouble. That's the whole idea of this session. I think that's been a patient listening from all of you, and thanks a lot. I would hand over the session to Gautam ji for his remarks. Bindu sir, Bindu Madhu sir, you can take over.
Yes, Gautam ji. So how are we going with time? Ravi Subramanian, you have some time, or you want to have the sum up and then have your kind words, or how would you like to?
Hello. Actually, I had a meeting at 10 o'clock, but
Okay.
I will continue for a few more minutes.
Sure. I think it's better then. I think you have your kind words first, and then we'll have the sum up session then. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Bindu. First of all, I want to congratulate Bindu Madhava and the Sarvamoola team for their initiative. They have taken at this crisis time to bring all the people together and giving a good platform to discuss the financial and wealth management system, how we can proceed with next. So, as we are all aware that this Corona-19 is a global problem. Since this is a program for discussion on wealth, there is no much to say. But still, as a member of Assembly, I want to say a few things. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all able to hear.
Hello. Developed countries like USA, China, Japan, and other countries, they are facing a lot of challenges and they could not survive. Now, the whole world is looking towards India, what Modi is going to do, how India is overcoming all these challenges. Yeah, we have to appreciate our Prime Minister Modi and his team for the initiative they have taken. They are managing as much as possible in a good manner that India is not facing so much problems as the other countries are facing. Now, we should not think negatively. Now there are two big challenges. One is how to overcome this corona, and the second is how you can utilize this opportunity for the growth of India. We have to think in a different way. Let us not think in a negative way. Let us be positive. We have very good youth strength. We have good brainy people. So, if we can manage with our strength, India can overcome all these things. But only thing is, now at this juncture, we are no doubt we are facing some challenges. But in near future, definitely India is going to shine. Next, what we are thinking is our leaders, what they are saying, the 21st century will be the century of India. We will think in those lines. Why cannot we convert this crisis to an opportunity? Instead of importing things from China or any other country for a cheaper price, why can't we develop our own products? Why can't we generate some jobs? Why can't we extend our industrial growth as well as agriculture growth and other things? Some new initiatives and innovative ideas should come. So we have to think in those lines. Definitely, I hope India has got a good future. But only thing is, initially, We have to struggle, as our experts said. We have to face some challenges now, but after short time, definitely we are going to overcome all these things. But as I want to say a few things, India, particularly our union government and state government, they are taking a lot of initiative in this time juncture for the people who are from poor families and downtrodden section. Really, the poor people from labor section and electricians, auto drivers, and they are all facing a lot of challenges. For their welfare, government has taken a lot of, they are giving food grains and other things. They are giving free milk, and they are giving money for this more, some account holders also. Lot of initiative has taken in agriculture sector, but only thing is, for the time being, we have to survive. That is the main question. Till May 3rd, there is a lot of challenges. Once we come out of that, definitely we can expect good days. But as a member of assembly, I want to say a few things, that how society is helping our people. Here in Bangalore, particularly in my constituency, some associations and with the help of our parliamentary member Tejasvi Surya, we are also mobilizing some funds to help few people, those who are needy. We have distributed so far about 19 to 20,000 grocery kits. Every day we are serving about 6 to 7,000 meals for the needy people. So one way, as a social servant, we are doing our part. But only thing is, even individuals, they also come out with uh, new ideas to help people, those who are in need. So I hope this team, who are really have got good thinkers, they will advise us how to go in future with uh, wealth management or anything. I hope the next century will be the century of India. We are all waiting for that. Let us not lose hope. Once again, I am telling you, let us work hard, struggle hard, and let us utilize this crisis time as an opportunity, and let us grow together. Thank you.
Very nice of you. A quick round of applause to everybody for the kind of motivation that's been given by our member of assembly, and he represents the state of Karnataka. And he also has spoken on behalf of Modi ji, whom we all love, and we are all proud to say that we are going and handling this crisis under the leadership of Modi ji. And Modi ji is really making India the proud guru of all the Vishwa. Okay, I think. Thank you, Ravi Subramanya ji. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time and your kind support. And
Thank you.
we'll always look for we'll help you out, and I hope you'll also help us out in all our the activities that you're going to do it.
Thank you,
This
Bindu, for your team and all the other members. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot. Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Sir, thank
Okay.
you.
So we'd like to have a sum up session, and then Gayatri ji, we will have your words after this session. So is that okay? So we'll over to Gautam ji to have a quick sum up, and then have a quick question answer session, and then we will have Gayatri Prakash's kind words, and then we'll have a vote of thanks. Okay. So over to Gautam ji for a sum up as a chairperson of this meeting.
Thank you very much. And, as Mohan has already clearly said, we are definitely facing very big problem as of today. In fact, in entire my life, I would say I would never sat for one day free. Now, every day is free. So I always say every day is Sunday. So we can always like that. But, no doubt, probably it has created some sort of an awareness what we should do. So now, as he said, there are a lot of chances where again, even if you reopen on 3rd of May, probably with, our type of situation, people will again gather together, and then again there may be a situation where you have a lockdown. You get prepared for that. But as he puts it, the question is, even if you lose a job, don't get disheartened, because you see, you need to this particular period of about 30 days of lockdown has at least taught us how we can spend less and live comfortably. So we can, with the existing available funds itself, we can definitely manage very well, and perhaps the health also will improve with this, not going to the junk food, etc. And we may see we don't even have to go to perhaps a doctor, the home doctor. We have some ginger here, and then we spend much on the local stuff, and then enjoy very well. But at the same time, what he has already specifically said is the allocation of the funds and reallocation of the existing assets. Now, as he said, see, supposing we have huge amount of immovable property with us, and particularly non-earning property. The earlier days, there used to be more well tax on only vacant land. That is mainly because, you see, if you have normally a rental income, you do give some money to the exchequer in the form of tax. But in this case where you don't have only immovable properties, you don't pay anything at all. Because you don't get income, so you are not paying. But at the same time, that was the reason why they had created wealth tax in earlier days. So you have more of wealth here, more of immovable properties, vacant sites. Today, actually, some years back, you would have put about 300 rupees for buying one site. Today, you can sell it at 3 crore rupees. So, no doubt, you have to pay capital gain tax and all that. That's one of our the reason why we should also share with the government whatever it is. So, what my suggestion is to go with, as Mohan has very clearly said, you reallocate that. See what assets are not earning anything. Yeah, all this vacant sites and all that is not earning anything. It's better you try to get rid of all this type of the extra type of assets, what it is not earning, and then put it back into the earning level. No doubt. Down, and it is better you invest in such some highest growth. You don't go for long-term investment. It's better you go for short-term, like 1 year, 2 years, something like that, so that you can at least foresee what you are going to have. And then Mr. Mohan has very clearly said how exactly we should plan it, and see that our family will not be to micro one. Macro is our larger family, that is our city family, our nation family. All those people are all our own people. So once you go back for some investment, perhaps you invest 2 crore rupees in bank, that for investment. That is the reason why people say, sure, that is one of the, under the post-lockdown, the position, we should try and now itself you should plan it in such a way that presume that you are not going to be employed at a initial stage. You are going to be earning a little bit lesser than what you are earning. So then you try to plan it and put back at least 30 to 40% of our income should go back to our reinvestment, so that at a later stage that amount itself will come back to you for your own purpose and then for the purpose of your family. That is very important. So that's what my suggestion is. My suggestion is to see, as Mohan has very clearly said, please prepare yourself for the worst day. Think that is going to be worst. So plan it in this such a way that you grow very well for the future. That's what my suggestion is, and I think we can open it for the question and answers, and then perhaps we can call more number of questions wherever at least people are needing some answers better.
Thank you, Gautam ji, for your kind sum up. I think you covered most of the points, and thank you, sir, for chairing the whole session. So now the whole floor is open for questions. Anybody, please unmute and ask for questions.
Hi everyone, this is Sridhar from Karnataka.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I would like to know about Indian economy in future, little bit, maybe after 5-6 months, where Indian policies have been looking into get the Chinese market into Indian market, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in the past, like India has been known as a software house.
Hmm.
Now, where do you think that India is standing in the computer and telecom sector hardware industry? I'm
Hmm.
not talking about the software; it's hardware.
Yeah.
Okay, so which is going to be the future, I guess, because we don't have any infrastructure in hardware
Hmm.
right now. And how much do you think India is going to cope up with this kind of requirement? Because already we have been working on some assembling of mobile phones in Hyderabad and some other places, right?
Absolutely true. Very true.
So where do you think like India can stand on this kind of requirement, and what kind of impact then the Indian economy can have on this time?
See the hardware. Thanks, Sridhar Kulkarni avare. Thanks for asking this question. And I'll take this question related to economy. So I'll take this question. So one is that you are asking why, what is the capability of India in terms of hardware production, assembly, be it chip manufacturing, be it in terms of hardware. What is the capability of India? In fact, already a lot of work has started under Make in India projects, and now what is very important is when you make it, there should have a market for that. So always these things are contract manufactured. Manufacturing industry doesn't work like you manufacture and then sell. You actually get first order. So that work has already started, and once you have an order in place, that is when the manufacturing starts. That is when you start mobilizing a lot of things, and this requires very huge amount of capital. It's a capital intensive industry, and in terms of if you ask me what are the market is in India for all these kind of a products, it is not exclusively here. So it is spread across. So it is also dependent on lot of global economy. That work has already happened, but in the 3 to 6 months, if you ask me, will there be any big improvements? I do not think so, because it's already none of the factories are working as such. And unless the thing situation becomes better, that is when I think the production and all the manufacturing things can open up. But 6 months definitely it is impossible, and maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, because now there are a lot of talks of not just hardware, lot of manufacturing is likely to be moved from China to India and Vietnam. So there are a lot of big talks which is going on, especially for Indian manufacturers. There is a big, inquiries that is coming at the ground level. So we will see how this pan out. For sure, like Ravi Subramanya sir said, that India is going to shine. It is because of this India is going to shine. Because after China, if someone can manufacture at the lowest cost with a good quality, it is going to be in India. So we will have to wait and see for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Shaki sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan. I think I would like to ask Sriram, and he actually is one of our well-wisher, and he's part of the discussion. He is the CEO of another telecom hardware, and he runs a company. You there? So Sriram, do you like to add anything here? Sriram, okay, looks like he's on mute. Okay. Anyway, he was also telling he was also of the opinion same thing. It's the right opportunity for India to basically get into a start thinking into a different directions and see how we can come up and utilize this opportunity. Thank you. So any other questions from the audience?
This is Srinath.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Namaste. First of all, I want to congratulate the team and the Binduji and the Sarvamala Foundation. This is an excellent seminar. I think I particularly want to congratulate Mohanji for the fundamentals that he has taught us, which is universal, be it in Bharat or US or anywhere else in the world.
Thank
So
you,
the
sir. Thank you.
the quotation from Chanakya shows us the timelessness of our ancient wisdom. I have a question.
Yeah.
The shrinking of the global economy will result in more repatriation of high-tech and low-tech workers, whether it is from UAE or whether it's from the H-1B people who are out of job in US coming back to India. This is going to happen. Even though it will relax a little bit, but the economy will pattern, at least in the US.
Sure.
So do you see the effect of that? Do you think that is a brain gain for India? And also at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because the repatriation of the money that people were giving back now that is going to reduce. So what's your take on it?
Thanks, Srinathji, for asking wonderful question, and it actually opens up for me to tell a lot of facts. One is all the oil companies. We are seeing the rout in the oil, and it is actually hitting the U.S. more than the oil OPEC countries. Today, it is the oil production is highest in the U.S., and they are unable to pay, even the recover the cost. It would cost per barrel anywhere between 25 to $26 for a cost to cost I'm talking about. And today the prices are less than, it's going negative in the real market in futures. So what I am talking about is not just US. There's going to be a lot of disturbances for the countries which are dependent on oil exports, be it in UAE and the Saudi, all those entire belt. There's going to be a huge exodus of people coming back, especially that is the immediate effect probably in the next 3 to 6 months or 1 year period, when the companies are no more able to continue paying them and patronizing the employees without getting back anything in return. Slowly these things will set in. Will it affect Indian economy? If you ask me, will wholeheartedly probably welcome all of them, because they're all skilled people. Now, skilled people is what is required in India now. And if you have to train, there are a lot of Skill India programs that are going on. And I feel so sad at the situation, because so many institutions are trying to skill people. Are people here sitting in the villages or in the country, they want to play, watch Facebook, and now don't want to put effort. It's very, very sad situation that they don't want to learn something new where they want to earn. So skilling a new set of people is very, very difficult, because there are a lot of psychological issues and attitude issues. The skilled people, if they come back to India, it's wonderful. We can open a lot of things for them. And once they are skilled, they are actually very open to, according to me, they are open to adopting, because they can learn other things very quickly. So it is going to be a benefit, according to me, if more people come back. And we should actually, as a government, as a machinery, we should utilize them very well. And we should write pockets should be created, because one side there's huge amount of money available in India, because Bangalore is a startup economy, startup city, and there are wonderful ideas on one side, and there is money available. And if you have the right working population coming back to us, and with good skills which can be modified a little bit here and there. Just now the last question came in, whether you can do manufacturing of hardware products in India. So we need skilled labor for that, and we are not as skilled as China. We cannot match the amount of technology and the resources and the labor skills that they have. It is very, very difficult for India to replicate. And if these people come, it will be a welcome. And it's not a problem for us. It's not for a 130 crore population, either way it is increasing. So if the skilled people come in, they will increase the Indian GDP. I don't really think there will be a problem in terms of money not coming back to India, because you are talking about anyway the labor force. We are not talking about the CEOs and MDs coming back. They've already made money. Even if they come back, they will sit back and relax. But the people who are working force, if they come back, definitely I see a big opportunity. It is not a threat, according to me. Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Sinaji, for provoking question. So to fulfill that, actually one of the program for under the Apta Sakha is about technical training. So and then how do you reskill, upskill, all that. I think we have another program. I think which I think this is the brainchild of Sinaji, and I think he hosts that. So we are also planning to conduct with our other partner Q Spiders and Skill Rary. We are going to conduct a lot of skill related programs, training related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, mean merge stack. This is the technology. I think you also told that this is going to grow, and we also want to make our youngsters to just get trained on these upcoming skills actually. So that's also a part of this Apta Sakha webinars. Thank you for that.
Binduji, sorry, I have a question.
Yes,
We are talking about advantage against China. So let me describe you an incident that happened to me yesterday.
Okay.
So I was in China in 2002, and I worked in Shenzhen for Huawei Technology, who is in the news for all the wrong reasons. So I saw there working. I worked with Chinese people, and it was a pretty extensive experience I had. It was a mind-boggling experience to see how they work over there and how we work over here. I got a call yesterday from my ex-colleague after 18 years. He sent me an email, then we had a WhatsApp chat because we can't do a WhatsApp voicemail. So we can only do a voice chat. We cannot do a voice call. We can do a voice chat. So right away, I mean, just now the economy is coming back in China, and he started with, can you start doing business with China? What can you do? How can we build the linkage with you? And how can we, okay, you are working in NGO. How can we build e-commerce business in India which can do work with China? Can you come to China, to Shenzhen now? I am back in Shenzhen. I am working on smart cities. So just imagine, 18 years, he suddenly sends me an email and sets up a call, discusses all these things, and he's inviting me to China immediately. Okay, so this is the level of commitment we need in our side also. How many of our businesses have made a list of the businesses who are in China and approach them proactively, saying that right now we want your business, or are we looking only for the push from the coming from China to India? Then only we will react. This is not going to be the way, because Chinese people, they do understand what has happened and what is going to be the consequences. And if you sit, just waiting for that to happen, they are already, sending their messengers all across the world that if you know even one person outside of China, to go and contact him and get the business. So we need that commitment, and somehow that needs to be shown through our work. So that's my point I wanted to make, and welcome your views.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Yeah, sir. Please go ahead.
How do you think our lifestyle would impact on the economy right now? And what is the importance of agriculture in the upcoming days with this scenario going on?
Okay, so there's one question on agriculture. Thank you. Thanks for asking. The lifestyle, actually, economy is actually there is no separation. Whatever we do collectively becomes economy of India. So it is individually, if you look at it, is your life, but the entire, all the 130 crore people's life together, what they produce is India's GDP. Together, what they consume is India's consumption. So if your lifestyle is going to change, it is mainly because of the restriction that is there, because of the spread that is happening now. It's a question between which is more important, life is more important or the livelihood is more important. So if you don't save people's life, what will they do post, because this is a very scary situation, and people who are analysts know how the numbers will, the arithmetic progressions, if you have seen the way the spread happens, it can kill a country if it is probably not contained. And it's very important that lives are protected. That's where we are in this situation, and the lifestyle is going to change because there is going to be scare all around. This is only one virus. First time we are seeing this kind of a pandemic. What if there are more strains? So there is always going to be a fear. Like other gentleman talked about, China, one of his friend coming out and seeking out, to do a business with him. The bigger thing is going to be the sentiment. Anything that is coming from China. See, normally we know if we buy, in one particular shop, if he cheats me and, next time I don't go to his shop. So the problem is of the credibility. The businesses run on credibilities and relationships, and it is not run purely for profits. And businesses runs on relationship. In fact, you see, look at the way today our prime minister have relationship with our countries. So it runs on relationships and everything, whether it is business or the country or the families, it runs on trust and relationship. Our lifestyle is definitely going to be impacted in the coming this thing. Agriculture is not something a problem for India currently because we have overproduction. There is a lot of store we have. we are self-sufficient, and in agricultural output is not an issue. It is the quality. In fact, we are overproducing, unable to store what we have produced. Lot of wastage is happening. There is a lot of cold storage which needs to be built even to protect what we are producing. So agriculture is not an issue. We have a lot of food storage, and enough food is available for Indians, and we can even export provided we have a good quality products.
Gautamji,
Thanks.
namaste.
I think it's the time now. It's time
Gautamji,
now, and
can I make one quick comment?
yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Mohanji, this is always a dilemma. I teach a course called Global Issues. Okay, and I've been teaching that for 30 years.
Oh,
Right?
wonderful.
Every few years the issue changes. Global warming 30 years ago, then it became HIV/AIDS, and it became water, energy, and now the latest is health. Okay, so in that context, I always tell my students that if you look at the United States labor force, 2% of the labor force is in agriculture. So from that point of view, if you say ignore those 2%, can we all live?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's the question. So agriculture, whether it's small or big, that is the crucial.
Absolutely.
Okay, without this, even though the labor force is very small, so that's a perspective. Sometimes, often, I have found people do not consider. Okay, and that is as important as the rest of it. And you rightly pointed the amount of wastage that happens in Indian context. Okay, because we could probably feed another India the amount of food that gets eaten by the rats.
Very true, sir. Very true. Very true.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
Question to one question to Srinath ji. See, we would have planned for some of our kids trying to get an admission in US university, and this particular pandemic has really curtailed the hopes of such students. So, and then we have to accordingly plan any financial support also. So, how do you think this will pan out for those aspiring students? In many of them are trying to back off this year. So, any thoughts how this will stabilize, and what would be a practical, feasible approach to replan?
I'll take it at two levels. I'm permitted to answer questions, right, Vidhuji?
Yeah, I think.
I don't want to take the agenda. The illustrious panel is there. I don't want to do it.
I think you can answer this question after this.
Yeah.
We'll have Gayatri, and then we'll have the floor open for questions. Then we can do it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I take it in two categories. Okay. First category is undergraduate student. There's absolutely no need for any Indian undergraduate student to come to the US, other than they have too much money and they want to have fun. Okay, that is what my position. The quality of education. I mean, you look at the CEO of whether it is Microsoft or Google. Okay, I mean all those people got undergraduate education here. So there's no need now for graduate education. These people have to come here and they have to spend the money. And now with all this lockdown and everything, who knows whether we are going to have a semester, face-to-face semester. Right now, all our universities are closed. We are only doing internet education, which is substandard quality. The reason it is substandard is because more than 70-80% of our professors do not know how to teach using internet. They were not prepared. They were in fact opposed to teaching this at the graduate level, and of course, undergraduate level is even more difficult. So, if our students who are admitted to graduate programs, they can postpone it by a year or two, and meanwhile, in India, which is going to be a growing economy, fantastic economy, as Mohanji was painting, which I truly believe also, then they will gain experience, and because again, maybe in 2 years they can come, they will be better students. They'll learn better.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Srinath ji, for your repeating answer. I was wondering whether we were going to take 45 minutes, because all professors will stop only after 45 minutes today.
Binduji, I am on sabbatical.
Yeah. So over to with this. Actually, I think we will take the rest of the question answers after Gayatri ji's kind note, and then we will take it without any restrictions on time. So Over to Gayatri ji, one of our distinguished guests today we have, and Gayatri, please share your experiences and what kind of things that you would like to give this on this session.
Yeah, namaskar. I'm very happy that Seva International has. I first of all let me thanks to Binduji also, and then I'm the part of this. Seva International, and then I just wanted to tell some little views about this one. But as according to me, right now we should not be trapped into this situation, trap that are created during this crisis, and then maybe we should not invest in the real estate. And I think many might lose their jobs. According to me, what is happening in Gulf countries also, and then especially in UAE, as I'm getting some more information that many are coming back, like blue collars workers, and then they are coming back because of oil jobs also. And then I think this is not the right time for any investment. And then we should watch the market, domestic and international. Like the situation of the COVID-19 is like this, and then and then we should be very careful of what we are doing, and then investing, and then investment point also. This is my view about this right now current situation, as Mr. Mohanji has already mentioned about this, and then this is what I wanted to say. Thank you
Th-
so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. We would look forward for a lot of your input, suggestions, and then joining hands with Seva
Yeah,
International
sure.
to whatever we are thinking of. We had a lot of offline discussions as to how do we take it forward if this continues further. Okay, and then how do we feed and how do we get a person to get the basic needs. And we have ABMM, we have SAST, and we have Skill Rally, and we have people like you, so who really need as an engine to run this vehicle. Actually, thank you.
Sure, sure, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
th- Thank you, Gayatri ji, for your kind words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohanji.
Thank you so much. And we just want to have before I give it for Nishant ji to have a vote of thanks, and then we can continue further on the question answers if any interested folks are there. And before that, I just wanted to just quickly remind about the sessions that are running, and that's the sessions that are planning to. So the session that is started is the Sanskrit Sambhashan Shibir. It's called Sambhashan Myth. So it started actually from yesterday, and we got a overwhelming response. What more than 80 students are already part of it, and we have got another 20 people, so we're all waiting, and so that's all ongoing batch. And now we have started today with this wealth management, and tomorrow we have 3 sessions. Tomorrow morning we have the Yoga Mitra session from a yoga guru, Raghavendra Pai. He is one of the renowned yoga practitioner, and we will be having that at 6 o'clock India time, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Indian Standard Time. So please make best use of it. And he is I think you should really have him. He is going to tell about a lot of techniques on pranayam, a lot of techniques on how do you do the different asanas, the basics, and I think please don't miss that session on yoga. Another one which I think Gautam ji was telling as part of his note, the summary note, that we need to maintain our health and we should be spending less on our health. So with that context, we have a health management session, the way how we had today on the wealth management. So health is wealth. Okay, so I think so we are going to have that. If health is lost, everything is wealth is lost. We can cope up, or we can manage, and we can bring it up. That's what we have spoken about Jivana, and now we are talking that what Modi says, the choice is between Jiva and Jivana. So we have spoken about Jivana today, and like how we have to do our Jivana. But now we are going to talk tomorrow about our Jiva. That's about how do you basically maintain your health, and and then be healthy, hygienic, and how to improve your the immunity power, and how do you read your body, how do you read your signals, and how do you avoid going to doctors, and then take a lot of things, precautionary measures, and how you feel that prevention is better than cure. So that we are going to have tomorrow a session at the same time at 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. tomorrow, tomorrow, the 24th, Friday. So don't miss that. That's the, if you miss it, again, it's going to be a Jivana, and Jiva, you don't know. So that's what I think you need to do that. And then regular classes on the Sanskrit Sambhashan Shivir is going to continue. And on Saturday, we have other session on Yoga Mitra, again, Yoga Mitra Series 2. That is by another yoga guru who is in Melbourne, Australia, Rajendra. So he has been another great practitioner on yoga. He's going to talk about specifics to diabetes and the various other things like BP, diabetes, and obesity, and various things, cholesterol, and what are the different specific effective pranayams, effective asanas, and kapalbhatis, and various things. So he's going to talk about that. So that also happens on Saturday India time between 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. And we have the concluding session of this Apta Saka series for this whole week. That happens on 25th at 9 p.m. India time, Saturday. That's on the crisis management. How do you manage the how do you manage the current crisis on COVID-19 crisis? And that's we under the chair is chaired by Gururaj Karjigi. Moderator will be our Sina ji, and also have tomorrow. We also have on that day the guest Tejasvi Surya, the youngest MP of our time, and also we have UB Venkatesh, another MLC, on that Saturday function. And tomorrow we have planned to have, again, we don't know about the politicians. We wish they will certainly come. R. Ashok has promised us that he will participate tomorrow. He's the Revenue Minister of Karnataka government. And also we have Jayasimha, who is a KPCC member. And we also have Subba Narasimha, the BJP secretary, state treasurer actually. Today he wanted to come, but I told him that to come tomorrow. So, because again, we may have someone who can skip. So that's the reason we want to have a balance between the guests. So we have asked him to come tomorrow. So this is actually the overall program. So please make a note of tomorrow's session, morning session, evening session tomorrow on health management, and day after tomorrow again morning on yoga, and again on the night at 9 o'clock on the crisis management by Gururaj Karjagi, Dr. Gururaj Karjagi. So that's going to be a wonderful session. So please don't miss it. Mark your calendars. This is about what's going to go next, and I would hand over to for vote of thanks to be done by Nishant Agarwalji. Nishant Agarwalji is our SIB, Seva International Bharat. He takes care of it and he heads the SIB. So over to Nishant Agarwalji.
Thanks a lot, Binduji. It was a really wonderful session. Thanks a lot for insightful questions and very knowledgeable information, especially to manage the financial things, which is there on everybody's mind in these trying times. And especially Mr. Mohan, who told us, bit by bit about the things that we need to care and the things that are important now, especially this time. The things need to monetize our assets which are lying idle, and to make best use of them, and where to invest the money in order, and what kind of jobs would be important. So all these things are very, very important now, because that's the question in everybody's mind. Like once the lockdown is over, how the world is going to look like. So thanks a lot, Mohanji, for your insightful presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity to meet these amazing people. And I must thank Binduji, Sarvamula team, and also Seva International. I get to meet amazing people. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you. Then Mr. Gautamji, I mean, your experience is very valuable, sir. I mean, your words are like the things that we would really cherish. I mean, in this journey, we would need to come to you to understand and answer our queries when we find ourselves in difficulty. And unfortunately, that is going to be the way. I mean, the world is going to be. It's not going to be easy anytime soon. So, especially for the younger generation who is just starting on the new job or looking for what to do next, I mean, your experience and advice would really.
Certainly, I take this opportunity and also wish the Seva International to be with us always, and I am always with them for any such work. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Then Mrs. Gayatri ji, who though came in last, but did inspire us to be more careful with our money and be cautious about how we spend and how we manage this crucial time would be very useful. So thanks a lot, Gayatri ji, for your insightful.
Thank you, Jinshanti.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of Seva International, I would really thank all the partners who have come together today and helped us make this a very successful seminar and a discussion on the financial aspects, the wealth management aspects, which is going to be crucial. I mean, if I have to say from my perspective, we all need to learn how to be a part of the community that we have somehow forgotten as we have indulged into more and more into the Western culture. And previously, everything used to be managed through a community. Now we look for government for everything. Like for any problem that we face, we say government has to blame, and there's very little community participation to take the matters into our hands and to solve our problem. This is going to be, we need to go back to our roots. We need to go back to our ancient culture to see the value systems that we used to have and bring them back and live a sustainable life to tide over this tough time. So thanks a lot, Binduji, for organizing this thing. And thanks a lot, all of you.
Just one thing I want to add, we'd like to thank Dayanand Patnamji for
yes.
his,
Sorry, I missed it. So Dayanand, thanks a lot for being there patiently and listening to all the debate that happened. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for all the participants for joining this and making this happen. And thank you so much. And if there is any question, so I will just as part of the moderator desk, so we'll close this. But however, I will keep this thing open for any discussions that interested folks can continue on this. Thank you so much. Thank you all. So we close with this.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, and I close the recording. So I close the recording now. Any questions are there for from the country of oil to anybody else? So then Sinaji is there, and I think I would. It's like a DJ open, and anybody, the floor is open. People can start firing your questions and getting the answers.
Thank you. Okay. We'll meet tomorrow.
Is it Binduji?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a small question. Through this forum, any job opportunities are available now?
No, so not right now. So we just want to have this one also, service also. But right now, no, we are just first going to train, and then so we are going to do that, and we'll take it offline. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and for the training, any one is there? Is it only for the youngsters or is it for
everybody? What's your name?
I'm Praveen here.
Praveen.
Huh? Yeah. Praveen.
Okay, fine. Praveen, I think there is an email ID there, and so you can just you can note down, and then on this field, right? And there is a web forum. There's a Google form. So please go ahead and fill up your what you need, and we will definitely come back to you with a one-on-one session. See whether you need a training or you are already trained and you need a job. So we'll just help you out on that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't get the email ID. Where exactly is that?
There's a Google form. There's a flyer where how did you come to know?
Yeah. I already filled up that.
Yeah. So there, if you're a mention, then we will take care of it. Okay. We'll definitely take care of it. Thank you.
Any questions related to today's topic? We can focus on that. Please feel free to ask.
Thank you for letting me off
the hook. Thank you, Srinathji. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinathji.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I think we'll close.
Yeah, we'll close this session, and tomorrow morning again we have, and then Namaskar, Shivaratri. Good night to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nice
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I just wanted to have the participants and also thank you so much. And let's meet tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for people who wants to yoga. So yoga karmasu kaushalam. So that means yoga, and then in the evening how to get rid of roga. So if you do yoga, you can get rid of roga. So you'll be there. And today it is so. We have spoken today about Jivana. I mean, I also it came to me like the choice is between Jiva and Jivana. So that I recall the words of Modi ji for that. And we have today spoken about Jivana, and tomorrow we'll definitely talk about Jiva. So how do you retain this Jiva? And how do you make sure that Sharira Madhyam Kaludharma Sadhanam? That's what our Shastra says. So we need to have our health, okay, fit and healthy. So we will have the discussion about that tomorrow. So I welcome you all, and then please dial in tomorrow. Thank you so much. And with this, I'll just close this session. Thank you so much for all the speakers, guests, participants. Thank you.